What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country. Also, thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. I hope you had a fabulous 4th of July. 4th of July here weekend. Let me know if you did anything special, if you just hung out with us here and family, our extended YouTube family here on 4th of July. And apparently, the Democrats, at least, are getting close to a new package, a new stimulus package, a new Build Back Better package that could be full of new items in this new package, with including lowering prescription drug prices for millions of Americans. Because, well, that's just one thing that is way too high, the cost of which is way too high. This comes as Democratic Senator Joe Manchin is in favor of lowering prescription drug prices, we think, apparently. Yeah, you can see here from Forbes, a key precedent may sustain negotiation to keep down Medicare drug prices and for, we think, everybody else as well. Medicare drug price negotiation. Medicare is just going to be the organization that does the drug price negotiation for the whole country, not just for Medicare, which holds down prices. May emerge from the long, quiet Senate negotiations on an omnibus policy, aka Build Back Better. Whether or not it's going to be called that or not, we'll have to see. Remember that the US currently pays around or in excess, depending on the prescription, 2.5 times more than any other country for prescription drugs. And this is just, it really shouldn't be a Democrat, Republican, partisan, anything. We should just not have to pay more than other countries. And this is when, even for the exact same prescription, this is just, it's just a ludicrous thing here that happens when pharmaceutical companies, like huge pharma companies like Pfizer, or, any corporation, they'll sell us the exact same prescription by the exact same brand name for 2.5 times, 3 times, 4 times more, the exact same prescription in the US than they will sell it for in other countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, Mexico. They just sell it for more. They just gouge us. It's just straight up gouge us. It's similar to what is happening right now with the price of gas and the price of oil, where they're charging us, even though the price of oil is fluctuating, hovering around $105 a barrel, $110 a barrel. Analysts say and experts say that they're really charging us gas prices like they're around $160 a barrel right now, because we're seeing record high gas prices. I mean, they've come down a little bit, like 20 cents a gallon. It really depends on your area. Some places a little bit more, some places a little bit less. But we should not be seeing record high gas prices. I mean, I know we've come down a little bit, right? But I mean, we're still near record prices, right? We should not be anywhere close to record prices, not near $100 a barrel. Okay, because I mean we've been over $140 a barrel before, and that was years ago. And I mean, if you inflation adjust that for time, that would be the equivalent to $160 a barrel. So really, we should not be anywhere close to $5 a gallon in gas. And the same thing with prescription drugs. And a lot of these things are, life-saving drugs. We talk about insulin, we talk about blood pressure medication, we talk about like cancer medication, we talk about inhalers, you talk about all these prescriptions. Some of these things are $20 a month, $50 a month, $100 a month, hundreds of dollars a month. and millions, over 100 million adults take prescriptions. Even if you don't take prescriptions, it's built into the cost you pay for healthcare. Okay. Um, about 50% of the increase that went into Medicare Part B, that $21 increase that went up last year, about 50% of that was because of prescriptions cost. Largely the Alduhelm Alzheimer's prescription cost last year because of one prescription. Yeah, so um, they're saying that because of that last year, it's very controversial, but that Aldu home prescription cost, which was $56,000 for one person's cost of that prescription, the company who makes it graciously decided to lower the cost of that prescription in half down to $28,000, $28,200. I know, what a nice company that they decided to lower the cost down to $28,200 for that prescription for a year. I know. Can you imagine paying $28,000 for a prescription? I know it's this is what, America has come to with the cost of prescriptions. And if you need it, if you have Alzheimer's, and I mean, even the results on that one are debatable, but I mean, if you have an asthma, I've taken an inhaler for years. I mean, it's largely under control because now they have inhalers with steroids in them, and but back in the day they didn't, and you needed to take it every time felt like you were short of breath. You needed to take an inhaler every time, and if you need insulin, you need anything, you know how it is. You need it. You need it. And you're basically at the will of these companies, just like gas. You need gas in your car. You need it. What are you going to do, right? You have to buy this stuff. You're at the mercy of these companies. Well, um, you should check out my previous video with an interview from Mark Cuban, entrepreneur on Shark Tank. He's a billionaire. He's actually launched a company that provides low cost generic prescriptions on his own, not through the government or anything, where it's cost plus only 15%, where you can actually get prescriptions. He just kind of has launched his own initiative on it that can save you hundreds of dollars. Depends on the cost, really. But I've actually seen a lot of comments from people saying, you know what, Jimmy, like just as an example, my $50 prescription that I normally pay is only like $20 on there. So a lot of people, I've already seen comments of people saying, wow, it's a lot cheaper on there. So yeah, I'll link you to that video here at the end of this video. It's kind of like it starts in the middle on there. You can see the interview from him. If you know Mark Cuban, he's on the hit show Shark Tank. He's already a billionaire, so he doesn't need to like gouge people and make money. And he's kind of one of those guys that, if I was a billionaire, I'd be the same way. He could just make a little bit. I actually think that he was losing money on the company at one point, and now that he's kind of gotten it to scale, I think he's making a little bit. I could be wrong, but just from the way he was talking, if you listen to the interview, you'll kind of get the vibe from that. He said I think he said he was getting crushed at one point, and then later on he said he's now profitable. So that's kind of the vibe I got without seeing his earnings report or anything like that. But as opposed to the other pharmaceutical, and again, this is on generics. So, if it's a brand new prescription and the generic's not available, you can only do what they want to do, or you can only do what you can do. He also says they're working on insulin. They're going to try to get insulin, and they're also working on some brand names that don't have generics available. So entrepreneurs can sometimes do what the government can't do, but the government is also doing what the government can do, right? The government can only do what the government can do, but sometimes entrepreneurs and businesses can do other things as well. But you could see here, the government, there has been backroom discussions, private discussions between Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Joe Manchin, who has always been the one vote making a majority vital for passage. A key point that if there will be a thumbs up from the Senate parliamentarian, and that will be a very important as well if the Senate parliamentarian will okay this as well, because they need her okay to also make sure that they can pass this through the reconciliation process. The issue of negotiated prescription drug prices for Medicare is one of the great public interest. Negotiation means the federal government does not simply pay whatever prescription drug companies demand. That is a very big thing here because right now, these companies just demand whatever they want. In the case of the Alduhelm uh, Alzheimer's drug, they demanded they be paid $56,000 for the Alzheimer's drug for I think it was for a year's supply, and they got it. They got it. $56,000, and then later on they decided to graciously cut it in half to 28,200. So now, if they can get this legislation passed, which this is where I kind of, and again, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I just look at things realistically. Sometimes I side with Republicans on some things, sometimes I side with Democrats on some things. I just look at things realistically. Okay, if it's gas prices, if it's pharmaceutical industry, um, if I think prices are too high, I just look at it realistically. There's not going to be any Republicans, if it's part of the Build Back Better bill, that will vote for it. There is, so again, I'm kind of against that because, again, I think that Americans should not pay 2.5 times more um, for any pharmaceutical drug. There is some bipartisan legislation with Republicans and Democrats together um, that has hit the wire here recently. But most Republicans are against that as well. We'll have to see if that will pass before the midterms. Okay, but that was a bipartisan bill, but we would need 10 Republicans to vote yes on that in the Senate. Okay, and that would cap insulin at $35 a month maximum. Insulin's a really big deal because it's a life-saving drug for I believe millions of Americans. I'm not sure the exact number here off the top of my head, but and insulin costs hundreds of dollars for most people. There's different kinds, different brands, different versions of it, but it can go as high as $700 or $800 a month, and it's very, very expensive, very, very expensive. So, and I believe it's I had the numbers here in front of me. I'd have to look it up again, but there's a large portion of people that have to ration their insulin because they can't afford it, and people die because they can't afford it and they don't have enough of it. And that is not something that should be happening in the great United States of America. As I wear a USA shirt here on July 4th, that is not something that should be happening here in our country. Honestly, our country, which is considered the richest country in the history of the world, inflation adjusted and all that stuff, it's really something that should just be guaranteed by the government. The government should just, I mean, not at the prices they are today. They should have in fact, I believe it costs less than $10 to make. It's one of those things that the government should take over, make it themselves, and just guarantee it for everybody. And I don't know how they would do it or what they need to figure out, but because it's such a life-saving drug, it's something that should just be a guaranteed right for anybody that needs it. I mean, you let me know your thoughts here, but people should not be dying because they can't afford medication. Republican, Democrat, Independent, whoever you are, people should not be dying because they can't afford medication. Yeah. So, and I think this is something that we need to come to. I think that there's a lot of problems that need to be fixed here, and I think that there's way too many politics that come in the way of people's lives. And right now, we need Congress to come together, and it's just insane. Right now we have inflation really hurting a lot of people. Thankfully, we have a lot of states stepping up and giving money back to the people. There's billions and billions of dollars just sitting there in the states' coffers. And some states are doing a good job. In fact, I'll probably have an update for you here in the next video or two on states and federal government here. As much as I have available here with you for information, I'm trying to keep you guys up to date here with everything going on. But as we go forward here, remember the states have billions and billions of dollars. Each state got over $1 billion from the stimulus package, from the last stimulus package. 350 billion dollars went out to all the states total, and each state got their share of that. More money to more states that had larger populations, and less money to less states with lower population. But it's an equal share based on population, if you kind of get that right. And also states, though, I'm pretty sure that most, if not every state at this point, is running a surplus. Okay. And that's because the majority of people have gone back to work. We're at a historic low of 3.6% unemployment right now. 3.5% is the 50-year low of unemployment. And ironically, that's actually helping with inflation because there's so many people that have gone back to work. It's actually driving inflation a little bit. Okay, we also have the Russian war, we have gas prices, we have the supply chain inflation, and all this stuff has just kind of heated the economy. And all that stuff is just kind of there. If it weren't for the war, and if it weren't for gas prices and stuff, and you've heard me talk about this for a while, right? If we just kind of deleted all that stuff and just had a normal recession and we were coming out, we would still have inflation, not as bad as it is now. But if we go back, if we just kind of study history, and really I was talking about this, if we go back like a year or two, um, if we deleted who was the president, if we just had a president XYZ, and we just had not a Democrat, not a Republican, and we just had a normal recession, a normal president, and we took the politics out of it, we would have some extra inflation. Not trying to be political here, but if you've heard me talk about this, if you've been a watcher of my channel here for a while, because you can just kind of look this up here. When you go into a recession, you have lower than normal inflation. Sometimes inflation goes to zero. Sometimes inflation actually goes negative. Okay, this is kind of normal, and we've seen this happen when the shutdown hit here in the U.S. We actually had gas prices go plummeting, okay, because of demand, okay, and a lot of businesses went out of business, and inflation went really, really low because demand for everything was really, really low. Inflation went really, really low, okay, and then as we came out of the recession, this time we had a virus and a pandemic. In this particular recession, but you can go back and look at other recessions like in 2008, 2009. When you come out of the recession, inflation heats up. You're catching up for the inflation that you kind of lost. And as people go back to work, as the economy heats up, inflation catches up. And as people go back to work and people start spending again, and everything heats up, and people start buying, 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 and like for right now example, the airlines can't keep up with demand with travel. We had 15,000 delayed flights just by Friday. Was it Friday morning of this travel weekend for the holiday? 15,000 flights can't delay 15,000 flights delayed because they don't have enough people because of demand. So what does that do? The airlines will naturally raise their prices, just like hotels. When all the hotels are sold out, what do hotels do? They raise their prices. Okay, so that really doesn't have anything to do with, say, a Democratic president or Republican president. It's just it's economic 101. If you own a hotel and you're selling out, as you start selling out, you're like, oh, we only have 10 rooms left. Oh, we only have 5 rooms left. what do hotels do? They raise their prices because they know, oh, we got to make our money while we can. Airlines do the same thing. As they're selling out, they're selling out, they're selling out. Same thing with cruise ships. As they're selling out, they have software that says, okay, raise our prices. We're almost sold out. Raise our prices so we can make money right before we sell out. And the same thing is the opposite. Same thing with cruise ships. They have sales if they're not selling out. If they're not selling, they lower their prices. They have sale, 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 so that they can sell those seats or those cabins when they're not selling, right? So when they're selling out, there's no deals because hey, we're gonna sell out regardless. So you better buy it now while you can before we're sold out. Yeah, so that's gonna drive the prices up of airline seats, hotel rooms, and everything now that people are traveling more, even though the virus is actually ticking up right now and cases are actually pretty high, and all the virus count, we really don't even know how quite high it is because everybody's using those at-home tests. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? People just, I guess, are tired of sitting at home and it's summer and they just want to get out. It is what it is, right? So this also drives up prices, right? So you got to think if all the airline seats are sold out, they don't even have enough employees to man the planes and clean the planes and do the luggage. What's going to happen to airline prices? They're going to go up. So this drives inflation, and you got to kind of think if Trump was there as president or if Biden was there as president, either one, this has nothing to really do with airline prices. I mean, you could kind of say, oh, well, there's fuel in there, there's gas in there, but that doesn't have anything to do with the seats being sold out. Or same thing with hotel rooms. If hotel rooms are all being sold out, it doesn't matter with the president in this particular instance. So this also has to do with inflation because we're coming out of a recession. People want to travel more, people want to get out more. You've seen all those flights were canceled and delayed because of everybody wants to get out no more and a lot more people are back to work right now, which is helping states get more money, the federal government getting more money. The good news is that because the government has more money now, they can use that to help people who are in need, help people who are struggling right now due to inflation. So, but this is kind of what's going on right now with our economy and everything. So it's kind of it's a tale of two stories, a tale of it's a double-edged sword right now. There's a lot of people that are going back to work, but it's also fueling inflation, and inflation is hurting a lot of people because some people are back to work, but if they haven't got a significant pay raise lately, um, they're actually not keeping up with inflation. And anybody who's not working, if they're on fixed income or if they don't have a job or anything along those lines, they're actually losing to inflation. If your money's just sitting in a bank or if you have no money or anything along those lines, you're losing to inflation. And that's where people like on Social Security, people who aren't getting the child tax credit monthly payments anymore, anything along those lines are being significantly hurt by inflation. And that's a lot of people because anywhere from like 58 to 62 to 64% of people are really, really being hurt by inflation because that amount of people are living paycheck to paycheck or are behind on bills and in debt right now. So that's where the government needs to step in and help out those people because now interest rates are rising significantly and are going to be hurting people even more so with car loans, with credit card debt, with home loans, any type of loan that you pay interest on that's not fixed, you're going to be paying even more interest on. So I'll keep you up to date here with all this stuff here on our daily show. If you haven't subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button right now so you don't miss out on new episodes, and then click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live. I'll keep you up to date here with everything. You can click here to see what just happened on July 4th, which was shocking. And you can click here to see what the Texas governor just said about Biden potentially raising the price of gas, which was shocking as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.